Hey, Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. Today, I want to give you my top 5 REITs, real estate investment trust, why I think that they are a decent place to invest in 2022, and again, give you my favorite. So yes, there are things in the background. I didn't put that stuff there, my wife did. We have a random painting, and we have my guitar in the back that I do play very badly. I'm working on the trumpet now. Guitar is what I first started out on in 2012. Haven't really picked it up that much since I bought it 10 years ago. We're gonna fix that though. But anyway, stuff will be changing in the background. I want to get some really nice things, like YouTubers be doing. But anyway, you came here for my top 5 REITs, so I'll go ahead and give that to you. But I wanted to lay out the economic case like I always like to do and tell you why I expect these to continue to do well, but also why now. I could have done this at any point in time, right? So first, we already know how the market is going this year, which again, it's super early, but it's not all that great. A lot of tech names have not done well. Financials have been a little shaky, but those are relatively solid. You've got your consumer staples, the grocery stores, the Krogers, the Costco's, stuff like that. Those have been okay. They've been pretty solid, but again, it's early. Well, the expectation, I've been saying it over and over and over again, I say it because we got new people all the time that are liking and subscribing, like you should be doing right now, that interest rates are supposed to rise. So when interest rates rise, what happens? Number one, anytime the interest rates go up, so first off, what are interest rates? Interest rates that's basically the cost of money. When I go out and take out a loan on a mortgage, a business loan, how much am I paying? Am I paying 2%, which is really cheap, or am I paying 5%? Or 6 or 7 or 8? That's higher. So as interest rates go up, money becomes more expensive. And the reason interest rates generally go up is to, one, stop inflation, which is the increase of price in chicken wings and stuff like that, gas, all that stuff, right? That's what inflation is. That's what inflation is. Nobody likes inflation. So when inflation is high, we raise interest rates and inflation drops. That's kind of the seesaw of things. The thing is though, inflation normally goes up when the economy does well. So when people are out there spending money, we've been saving for so long because we've been locked in the house, well, inflation started to go up because I was at home buying stuff on the internet like everybody else was, right? And yet too much money flooding the market, prices went high because the supply of those things was too small. So now the Federal Reserve says, all right, fine, we're going to raise interest rates. We're going to make money a little more expensive to make y'all calm down and not spend so much money. That brings inflation down, and then things kind of calm down a bit. That is why real estate investment trusts tend to do well. Real estate investment trust, real estate, right? Basically, these are stocks. They're sort of stocks, but what they are is they own different parts of property packaged together so that I don't have to go out and buy a factory or an apartment building. I can buy a REIT that owns that kind of stuff. And when the economy expands and things are going well, which means that interest rates are usually rising, these things tend to go well because they have to do with manufacturing, they have to do with people moving, they have to do with living and things like that. So I'll go over some of these and explain again why I like them, how well they've done. And I started off with 16. Start with 16 REITs, whittle them down to 5. A few of them that I do own. There's one on here that I like, that I own, that I did not add on the list for similar reasons we did the previous list. It's like today it ain't all that great, but when I bought it a few years ago it was. So I still hold one of these. I hold one of them that's not on the list. I'll tell you which one that is, and then I hold at least one on this list. Another one I'm looking to pick up. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. So again, with interest rates moving up, that's expected to happen. The Federal Reserve is expected to do anywhere between 3 to 6, depending on who you ask. Most people say 3 to 4, but some banks like JP Morgan and I think Bank of America or so, one of those two, are saying they're going to raise it 6 times in a single year. I think that would be extreme. But that means that the economy is expanding. Okay, so if the economy is expanding and things are growing, people are going back to work and stuff is going to be all right in terms of jobs and people making money, these REITs should continue to do well. So the first one is Prologis. They are a logistics REIT. That ticker symbol is PLD. This is the one I own. You saw me buy this in January, or was it January? End of December. So like December 30th, so really 2.5 weeks ago. Bought this one on public. I'm sticking with it. Obviously, it's been very early, but they are logistics REIT, which means, warehouses, anything that helps you get things from point A to point B. The cool thing about Prologis is that, and the ticker symbol is PLD again. My son has had it for a while now, but the cool thing about it is, instead of, let's just take Amazon. They build factories, right? They're not the best factories. They're not the nicest factories, but you get what I'm saying here. In terms of warehouses and putting things in places where they need to go, Amazon is very good at getting you stuff in 2 days, which means that they need to have certain properties in certain places, whether it's a place to receive certain trucks, whether it is a warehouse to house all that stuff. Prologis said, look, I own the properties, and I'm making places up in Miami and Atlanta and Raleigh, and I can help you get that stuff from point A to point B. Just pay me the rent money, right? That's a super simplified version of how that goes. And again, in theory, let's say the supply chain loosens and things are all the shipping containers, all the stuff that people can't get to, things are going well, and you get that stuff out. Prologis is going to be there to help people house all of those goods and make sure that logistically they get from point A to point B. That's Prologis. They're up 21% in the last 6 months, up 60% in the last year. That's a super easy one, right? And also for me, the case for REITs, when I get me a good REIT, because almost all REITs pay a good solid dividend. So I have, I'll tell you now, I have AMT, ticker symbol AMT, their American Tower REIT. Talked about this on the channel probably a year and some change ago. That's in my IRA, and it's gonna sit there, it's gonna pay me out, and we're gonna be alright, right? It prints money basically, but they own the cell towers. So when you talk about 5G or AT&T or Verizon, all that kind of stuff, they don't own the cell towers. AMT owns the cell towers, which you're going to need anyway. But their performance was not as good as the performance from some of these on this list. So Prologis is number one. Number two is IRM. This is Iron Mountain. I feel like I've talked about this one before. Their description says that they are information storage. Now, I know Iron Mountain from when I used to work in an office building, and they shredded papers. I thought that was all they did. That is not all that they do. But they're up just 2% in the last 6 months, but 53% in the last year. So very solid. Go back and see if you can find that Iron Mountain video. I couldn't find it. I didn't delete it because I don't delete any videos. But Iron Mountain's very solid for the long term. I'm not exactly sure why they didn't do incredibly well over the last 6 months. But again, 6 months, these REITs, just REITs in general, but these REITs particularly, I buy and hold for long term and really almost never look at it because they're solid. They're not going anywhere for the most part. Logistics factories and warehouses aren't going anywhere, right? People having to shred and take care of documents, especially in like places like healthcare, all that kind of stuff, that they're not really going anywhere. So that's IRM, definitely one you want to add to your watch list and check out. Next one is Plymouth Industrial. They do a lot of the, industrial warehouses, which you will see is kind of a theme here on the list, but they've done incredibly well, 30% in the last 6 months and up 93% in the last year. 93% in the last year. You need warehouses for stuff, right? And whether this stuff is flying off of the shelves because we're buying it so quickly, or they're looking to fill up these shelves, they have to exist, right? They have to exist, and there's no real way around it. As long as we be needing stuff, we be needing warehouses. So it's an easy one to have out there. The ticker symbol is PLYM. PLYM. One I wish I had found out about earlier, but I didn't. But it's on the list now. It is on my radar now. And then Iron Mountain, if I didn't say it already, ticker symbol is IRM. It sounds, I don't know if y'all can hear it, it sounds like my time is running up before my son bursts in here like the toddler that he is. All right, next one is Mid-America Apartments. As obviously an apartment REIT, it owns apartments apparently in Mid-America. The ticker symbol is MAA. That one's up 14% in the last 6 months, up 62% over the last year. Very interesting space. So apartments, right, in a space that we're in now, we don't have enough houses. That's why, is one of the reasons why housing has gotten so expensive over the last year. We saw a lot of people move out of suburbs, or out of cities rather, into suburbs, and filling up houses, right? But rent is still going up. Rent is still too damn high. I don't care where you at. Rent is too high and they need to go down. But that's probably not going to change anytime soon. The supply of housing cannot just instantly increase overnight. It will increase over time. Eventually, the cost of houses will slowly fall down, and raising interest rates will help with that. But the demand for housing may not be there at that point in time. People say, look, I'm in an apartment, I'm probably gonna stay here. But it's really solid. I don't see it's the apartment space, right? The apartment business isn't going anywhere. I mean, you graduate college, you usually live in an apartment for X amount of time, and then if you want, you decide to get a house. So I don't know. I don't see a case for where apartments would go bankrupt or be in any spot in any trouble. That's not to say you're going to make 62% every single year. I highly doubt that. You might make more, you might make less. But again, very solid, pays dividends, 14% gain in the last 6 months and up 62 in the last year. Definitely one that you want to have. And then the last one is XTR. This is extra space storage. Ticker symbol again, XTR, one that I didn't even know was a REIT. I've been to an extra space storage because we were moving and I had to get stuff in and out of storage for the house. And it's up 16% in the last 6 months, up 81% in the last year. Apparently people also be needing space. So it's funny because everything that we have here, right? These are places that are relatively unavoidable. So when I was in New York, I needed a storage spot. When I was moving from Texas to Raleigh, I needed a storage spot. Extra space storage was one of the places that we did keep our stuff. It's interesting because I'm talking about warehouses and places to store goods that need to come to people. Well, technically extra space storage is a warehouse for my extra stuff. So that is out there. That is something that you should consider. But in the REIT space, it's interesting because it's the boring stuff. It's the stuff you don't think about. When I think about, let's say, a Target, I don't really think about like where does stuff from Target, how does it get to and from Target stores? Prologis is probably in there somewhere, right? When I think about apartments, I'm just looking for an apartment that I have, and I just go with that. I'm not really thinking about who owns it. And there are other apartment REITs that are out there as well. Simon Property Group is one. Camden Property Group is another. I think Camden Property is the apartment REIT. I think Simon Property might be hotels. But in either case, those are two other REITs that you may want to consider. But all of these super boring, high-paying dividends have performed quite well, with the exception of Iron Mountain in the last 6 months. But again, 53% in the last year is something I'm gonna hold on to for quite a while if I'm looking to invest or looking to add to the list. Now, these are my top 5. I told you about AMT, right? It's one I hold, and it's not going anywhere, but it doesn't have the momentum. It's not something that's quote unquote moving in the right direction right now. That doesn't mean that it won't in the future. I'm not concerned about it. I had it years ago, and it's just gonna stay there. So that's transparency. That's the one I own outside of PLD. Other thing in question you might be asking, a lot of people like the real estate ticker symbol O. I actually forget the name of it. I just know people talk about it a lot in the REIT space. It just did not make this list in terms of returns for this period in time. So if you want to look up ticker symbol O for REITs, feel free to look that one up as well, because I know every time I bring up REITs, somebody brings up that one. So I'm talking to you. It's not a bad REIT. It just didn't make this list in terms of performance. My favorite REIT, AMT, didn't make the list either because it wasn't performing as well as some of these. So the one I own is PLD. Outside of that's on this list is PLD. I still like Iron Mountain. I'm really interested in looking into Plymouth, which is ticker symbol PLYM. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Y'all know I've talked about Iron Mountain before. I've had an eye on that one for quite a while. I haven't made any moves there because I try and stay diversified. I already have 2 REITs. Okay, could I have more? Perhaps. But I already have 2 REITs. I've got some financials. I got some tech. So I try and be in different places at different times because you never know exactly what the market is going to do. Diversification is important regardless of what some people who may not have read a textbook anytime soon or anytime ever may tell you. So these are my favorite REITs. I'll read it off one more time before I go. We've got Prologis, ticker symbol PLD. We've got Iron Mountain, ticker symbol IRM. We've got Plymouth, which is PLYM. We have Mid-America Apartments, and then we have Extra Space Storage, EXR. I almost said EXT, EXR. And then Mid-America Apartments is MAA. All right, that is it for me. I'll talk to you guys later.